Hey guys, I'm Natsuri, and I'm basically doing this video for my Emergent Media class, and I'm going to be talking about how iPhones and the evolutions of iPhones came to succeed in today's market. So basically, it started off with the CEO of Apple, Steve Jobs, and a bunch of other masterminds that helped them out with this. But it wasn't just the iPhones that really made them become more successful, which I think that's the main reason why they're so successful, but things such as like iPods and iPads also came out, which also kept people on this Apple wave. And the first iPhone I'm going to start talking about right now is the iPhone, the regular iPhone, which came out in 2007. It basically just has a 3.5-inch screen, 320 times 480 pixels at 163 ppi, which is basically a bunch of numbers for saying how the phone screen looks, like the LED lights look. It had a 2 megapixel camera, and it started at about $500 for 4 gigabytes and $600 for 8 gigabytes, which a bunch of people in the market thought that they weren't going to succeed because of how expensive that they were. But then a year later, in 2008, an iPhone 3G came out, which connected to the 3G base network a lot faster, depending on who you had. Which made it a lot easier for people to connect with others, search the web, go on social media, post pictures, videos. And the iPhone 3G included location services, which even Steve Jobs said that it was going to be a huge thing for Apple and a huge thing for phones, specifically because this was when the GPS location services were also introduced, so it helped people travel and navigate without the need of having to print out MapQuest online or just memorizing where to go and how to go and stuff like that. It just made things a lot easier for us. We were also able to tag places that we've been at for pictures. Location services helps with news updates, warnings such as flash flood warnings, tornado warnings, and all of that. That's what location services were used for, I think. At least were a pretty good reason to exist. These phones were actually a lot cheaper, and it started with $200 for 8 gigabytes and $300 for 16 gigabytes. So as you can see, it became cheaper in order to, I guess, get more people to buy it and get them more sales, I suppose. But then a year later, after that, in 2009, the iPhone 3GS came out, which was way faster than the other two iPhones that had came out prior. It was also a lot cheaper too. So it was only $100 for the 8 gigabyte model, which compared to the other two phones, the first iPhone was like $600 for 8 gigabyte, and the 3GS, which was way faster and I think obviously a way better phone than the first iPhone, was only $100 for the 8 gigabytes, which also included the faster service, faster connections, and location services as well. They also introduced a 32 gigabyte model, which was only $300, which I think was a grab, especially with how much iPhones range for nowadays. The iPhone 4 then came out in 2010, and the front camera was introduced. So was FaceTime video, which had a higher resolution of Retina screen display, and it had a better visual. Basically, it had 640 times 960 pixels at 326 ppi, compared to the first iPhone, which was only a few hundred, 320 times 480 megapixels, or pixels at 163 ppi. So obviously the iPhone 4 had a better screen display. It was brighter, it was a lot more HD looking, and this phone was also pretty cheap as well. It was only $200 for 16 gigabytes and $299 for the 32 gigabyte version. It was a lot better looking, it was a lot smaller, thinner, better to hold, and then the iPhone 4S came out, basically just made it a lot faster to connect and interact with other people, especially depending on what network you had, obviously. In 2012, the iPhone 5 came out, a lot slimmer and a lot faster with a 4-inch diagonal screen. The prices stayed the same, but it was just a better looking phone, and it was a lot faster than the other updated ones. The iPhone 5S and 5C came out in 2013. It was definitely a lot faster, and then it introduced Face or Touch ID, which basically you just touch the home button and boom, you're in your phone. It was an easy way to unlock your phone rather than having to put in a passcode or anything like that. And then in 2014, the iPhone 6 and 6X and the 6 Plus came out, with the 6 having a 4.7-inch screen, but the 6 Plus had a 5.5-inch screen, including Touch ID on both of them. But these phones actually introduced Apple Pay, which made it a lot easier for you to pay stuff virtually without actually having to pull out your wallet or look for exact change to pay for whatever you're paying for. You just put your information on your phone and you pay it off right away. In 2015, the iPhone 6 and 6S Plus came out with a 3D touch, which included live wallpapers. So basically, if you press and held your wallpaper, it would play a few seconds of whatever it took for you to take that picture. Live photos also came out, which basically is if you take a picture, you see a few seconds of a video of how long it took you to take that picture, basically, which I think is a pretty cool thing that they added. It had faster LTE and Wi-Fi and basically advanced pixel technology, so it made the iPhone look a lot better. The overall picture was a lot better too. For the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, it came out in 2016, had improved cameras on both models, but the iPhone 7 Plus had a dual camera setup, which basically improved the zoom on the iPhone, which I think is perfect, especially for self-taught photographers who use their phones. Even if you're not self-taught, there's certain people that use iPhones specifically to take their pictures, and they come out looking amazing. This is when the home button also got removed from the iPhone, and it was made into a virtual button. But then the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus came out in 2017. New glass and aluminum design, which made it a lot stronger than their other cell phones. It had a Retina HD display and single and dual cameras to support portrait lighting, which I think is also a plus for photographers who use their cell phones to make their own work. Introduced wireless charging, which I think is really cool and a lot easier to charge your phone, especially without having to worry about a wire breaking or your wire not working and having to just be screwed until you buy a charger. Especially if they're not Apple products, they're really designed not Apple products aren't designed to work with other products that aren't Apple products, I think, or I know. I witnessed it firsthand. It had the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus had better megapixel cameras, included better slow-mo, and all of that. The iPhone X then came out in 2017, which had a 5.8-inch Super Retina display, introduced Face ID, which was a lot more convenient to unlock your phone rather than putting in a passcode or your Touch ID not recognizing your fingerprint. Let's say your hands are still wet or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot easier to just, boom, pop up the phone to your face and your phone's unlocked right away. The iPhone XR came out in 2018, which had a 6.1-inch liquid retina display. It was splash and water resistant and had a better glass design, better Face ID, 12 MP camera, and also included portrait mode for selfies, which were introduced as well, which I think was a decent thing that they could have added, especially people who use these types of products also use certain types of social media, such as YouTube, Snapchat, even Instagram. Some people like the way that they take pictures, so they want their social media to look really organized and decent looking, not with crappy camera qualities, you know what I mean? So the portrait selfie mode is an improvement, because then again, then people can just take pictures and it'll be portrait looking, and it's a lot more better looking for the eyes, especially. And then in 2018, the last iPhone to come out was the iPhone XS and XS Max. 5.8-inch and 6.5-inch screen display, depending on the phone that you get, obviously. Super Retina displays, which, again, a lot easier and better and just visually more attractive when looking at the phone. It has improved scratch, splash, and water resistance. And it has faster Face ID recognition, so it recognizes your face right away. You unlock it right away. No need to just sit there and wait for it to recognize your face. And then it came with more colors, which the main reason I talked about Apple is basically because I like how Apple's improved, especially with just starting off as a small little touchscreen smartphone. It ended up becoming a lot more than that. It has better visuals than most TVs I've seen nowadays. You know what I mean? And it's right here at the touch of your fingers. Like, you don't have to travel for this. Besides, if you want to go to the store and buy one, you know what I mean? You can. They've updated so much, especially with looks, and things.